Doesn't that feel good, little Kay?
It does.
Feels good to hear some Wilcox on the radio, baby. Yes.
So excited to have him on the line right now.
All right.
Please welcome the one and only David Wilcox.
Yes. I am so excited. Yes, I am so excited.
Thank you again so much for being here today.
Oh, the pleasure's mine. I'm glad to talk with you.
Oh, yeah, we're looking forward to it. Big show coming up at the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre, January 25th. And, David, I don't know if you know this, but word is the show is sold out.
Well, that's wonderful news. I knew it was getting close, but that's great.
Yeah,
that's just great news, and thanks for letting me know. It's an honor.
Absolutely, and it's an honor for you, for us to join you here on the radio because, hey, man, literally grown up. I'm not trying to make you feel old with your music and seen you here in Southern Ontario a million times. I don't know. It's like Southern Ontario. I think the people have spoken and have sold this show because you pretty much are a staple here. You've done a lot of shows down in the Golden Horseshoe, would you say?
Yes, many over the years, and other parts of Canada too. BC, Alberta, and so forth, but in the Maritimes, of course. But I love playing in Southern Ontario. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask a question about the fact that you have been playing for so long and the changes that you've been able to experience firsthand within the music industry. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering what you think is the best part of it and the worst part of those changes.
Okay. Well, the best part, I think, is the Internet. Now, the Internet, of course, has good qualities and bad qualities, as we all know. But the fact is that it's easier for people to try to work up some exposure. Now, I've been misquoted on this because somebody thought I'd said it was easy or easier now. It's never been easy.
No.
Not when I started and certainly not now.
Never.
But the thing is, it's not run through the filter of record companies.
Yes.
And I knew artists, and we all did, most of us, who were superb singer-songwriters who never got signed.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, And the thing is, I'm one of the lucky ones. I got signed, I got airplay, and therefore my music got heard. But there were other people who didn't. So I think it's more of an even, if chaotic, playing field now.
Matter when.
I mean, the Internet's crazy. But that would be a positive change to me. Is that we have the Internet. A negative change would be that when I started, there were all these little hotels and bars and stuff where you could begin a career. A little, the old, I guess it was when Ontario was an agricultural economy back, many years ago. These hotels were still there in small towns and stuff like that, and you could go and you could work for 6 or 3 nights and you could stay there. And I mean, it wasn't, the Ritz or anything like that, but you could learn your craft and work with an audience. I had the benefit of working with live audiences a lot and learning how to do that. Today, it's not so easy. Obviously, there's live shows, but there's not the subsistence type of scene that I grew up with.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of live shows, and we're very saturated with bar bands, I will call them, or club bands, cover bands. But probably aren't able to make a crack at it as you did, and having to get airplay and everything. Like, it's a different business model back in the day than it is now. Like you say, you can get on internet and everything. But the thing with internet is everybody can do that. So it's kind of like you're getting a lot of competition across the board.
Well, in that way, it's harder, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's changed, but I don't say it's easier then or now or whatever. I can't compare that, but it's certainly very, very different.
Yes, very, very different. But it's what I'm a fan of, and what I think a lot of people here in Niagara are a fan of is that old school, blues rock music that you used to do and still do today. And I think that's why your name is very, very well known here now in Southern Ontario. And it's kind of weird. I was talking to Tom Cochran not long ago, where he had a story about working up in Yorkdale or Yorkville in Toronto or whatever, and playing the coffee houses. And it seems to be that's a thing. Or like, did you have that experience when you were breaking in? Was it a coffee house scene in Toronto is where you got a lot of your work?
Very much so.
Really?
You know, and there were also open mics.
Yeah.
Was one of the main ways I started, and they still have those today. You know, there'll be a bar where you can go and bring an instrument and on a Friday night or something and sing 2 or 3 songs, and I got my start doing that too.
Yeah.
But yes, there were coffee houses, and I played a bunch of them. Yeah.
That's amazing, and you got recognized playing and picked up by a couple of bands before breaking out on your own.
Well, I became a side person. Yeah, I had the good fortune of playing with Ian and Sylvia, who are great artists, and I was their guitar player for 2.5 years. And then a woman named Maria Muldor, who had a hit called "Midnight at the Oasis," you know, a big record on the top 10. And I played with a number of different. I got to play a couple of songs with Anne Murray on TV. You know,
Yes.
so played with a bunch of artists in different styles and learned a lot. You know.
Yes. One rumor that I heard, and I don't mean to sidetrack from the interview, but I'm very interested in this. Like, your first ever show, was that at a jailhouse?
No, it wasn't a jailhouse.
Okay.
It was a facility in a church basement.
Oh, okay.
I was like 14, I think, around 14 years old.
Yeah, that's amazing.
For recently released ex-convicts. And they had a sort of a drop-in there. And me and my buddies from school had a little band. You know,
Wow.
we played Chuck Berry songs and stuff. And we went and played there. And somebody, you know, they weren't that receptive. I mean, they weren't mean or anything like that. They just sort of didn't applaud.
Yeah.
But one of them slid a chair across the dance floor at the stage, and I went to the mic and said, 3 chairs for that man over there. And a front man was born, you know.
Yes, a frontman was born, which was a transition for you, and you never really looked back. I mean, you've been a known frontman, known songwriter. It's crazy. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
There,
I've had a lot to be grateful for.
Yes.
Been very fortunate, you know.
Speaking of the early days and touring, you did the typical, you know, college university tour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How is that different from touring today, say getting ready for January 25th at the Performing Arts Center?
Well, it was a much wilder environment because the security would be the football team, you know, and people would be throwing beer and stuff like that. But generally, people were quite friendly, and I had a great time at a lot of colleges and community colleges and universities right across the country. Yeah.
It seems odd when you talk about stories of you know, you breaking into the business, people throwing beer and not happy. What do you think that was about? Is it a change in the music where you were doing a different style than what everybody was used to and they did not want to hear it, or what is that about?
Not at the colleges, because
No.
the thing is, they would hire. You know, they knew who they were hiring or what they were hiring.
Yes.
You know, but when I started playing bars, you know, people were told. Sometimes the agents would say it was a top 40 band, and of course it wasn't at all. And so we a couple of times we got fired a few times and booed and stuff. But every artist gets that. I mean, almost every entertainer you talk to, you got to start out and pay your dues. Right?
Yes, exactly.
And so that was a little bit of that, but it turned around. You know, and when it turned around, whoa, brother, I mean, it was such a wonderful thing, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Go ahead, Lou. Okay.
I wanted to, thinking of shows on January 25th, how do you pick and choose what you're going to put into your set list for that night?
Well, we don't use a set list.
Oh.
We have about 3.5 evenings worth of material, you know, that we can play. And what I do is I look out at the audience. Often the musicians don't know what song we're going to start with, because we keep it fresh that way.
Yes.
That's
so
really good.
I look at the audience and just try to guess what they'd want to hear next. Or sometimes somebody calls out a song name, and we'll play that, you know. But we keep it fresh. That's very important.
Yes, I like that. You check the temperature of the room, what you feel that the audience may want at that given time, and you take it from there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very professional. Yeah, I love that.
How frustrating is it nowadays to be performing and seeing a lot of phones recording?
Oh, I welcome it. I didn't always, but the thing is, my model for that was the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
Because the Grateful Dead encouraged the audience to share the music and to record it, and that really opened my mind to it. So, I mean, you're not going to get away from it. Not that I want to, but hey, they're welcome to do that.
There have been artists, bands who have actually used fan footage to make music videos.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense to me. The only thing I would ask is that they not impede the enjoyment of the other audience members.
Sure.
I mean, not stand in front of anybody with their phone in their faces.
Yeah.
I mean, but other than that, if they want to record the show, go. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like about the David Wilcox experience, having seen you in the past. It just seems like, dare I say, a party show where you go and enjoy yourself. You're hearing some damn good music, and the fact that you don't even that doesn't even bother you, the phones and everything, or it would at some other artists, I guess, but just makes it for a good time. I would feel,
Well, we consider it party music.
Yes.
That's what we think of it as. Rock and roll, of course, but it's you're meant to come and have a good time.
Yes, absolutely.
Hopefully.
Is there a song that people yell out repeatedly that sometimes you feel it's overplayed?
No. There was a woman many years ago who had a hit. K-Star had a hit on Wheel of Fortune in the 1950s, and she said to think of it that way, sort of like, I have to play this again, would be like turning your back on an old friend who's given you so much.
Yeah.
Those songs have given me so much, and we keep the arrangements loose enough that we can keep it fresh and still, we'll still be playing the song, but it's a little bit something different there, improvise a solo or something,
Yeah.
So,
I think it's fresh. I think it's fresh for the entire audience because we've loved this for so many years. These songs are, back in the 80s maybe recorded, and that may have been when you were, peaking out with those songs, but they're still played on the radio today. A lot of it, all the time.
That is so wonderful. I mean,
yeah.
I'm so grateful for that, and I just don't have words to say how thankful I am.
Oh, you're very
I still have fun with them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, as a musician, a singer-songwriter, all the touring, there's a lot of sacrifices that you've had to make over the years. And a lot of those sacrifices change throughout the years because you as a person changed. What are some of those that stick out most?
Well, I don't think about them much because the fact is that both of you, have made sacrifices to do what you do, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, whatever one wants to do in life, there's no free lunch for anybody.
No, absolutely not.
And so, we all have to sacrifice something if we want to achieve something or enjoy something. So I don't think about it too much. The plus side is so overwhelming. And music is such a wonderful thing that I don't feel that that's a factor for me, really.
No, you've done such a great job over the years carving out your career, and we appreciate that as well. And I don't know, do you ever stop to think, like, you got a big start here in Southern Ontario, like I said earlier, but coming full circle, like, going from the bars and the clubs, and now you're coming to the First Ontario Performing Arts where it's sold out, and it's still touring. It's still touring till the wheels fall off. Do you ever just reflect back on your life a little bit and say, hey, I started here in Southern Ontario, I'm coming back to Southern Ontario, and it feels so much different?
Well, the world feels different, doesn't it? But I think it feels different for everybody. It's changing so fast, and it keeps on changing, doesn't it?
Sure
so,
does.
I reflect on it a little bit, but I'm not a nostalgia guy, I try and be in today and just enjoy today and have some fun.
That's great, yeah.
I'm excited to see that happen on January 21st.
Yes.
25th,
yeah.
7:30 p.m. First Ontario Performing Arts Centre. It is sold out. I'm super happy about that.
Me too. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Everybody knows you, musician, singer-songwriter, guitarist, all that kind of stuff. But there's still, a different part of you that isn't a musician, that has hobbies. What would a hobby be that a lot of people don't know about that you love to do?
Well, I like to see movies a lot. My wife and I go to the movies, and all kinds of films, and that would be one. And I just like to hang out and enjoy myself We have pets. You know, I love them. Animals are wonderful. I think during COVID, animals and music saw many of us through. You know, the lockdown and that kind of thing. So those are some of the things I enjoy.
Speaking of movies, what's the most recent movie you saw then?
I like The Iron Claw. I don't know if you've. It's about wrestling, a wrestling family.
Oh, I have not seen
I just thought it was
yet.
well done. It has Zac Efron in it.
Yes.
And I thought that was good off the top of my head. But I like a lot of different kinds of movies. You know, horror movies I like, not slasher movies. Don't enjoy them, but a good horror movie I like that.
Yeah. Interesting you saw The Iron Claw. I was looking forward to that. I think that's the Von Erich one, but that'll be something to watch. Yes, of course.
Yeah, I think you might enjoy that. Yeah.
So you have to travel a lot, and it can be hard to be away from home. And a lot of times when I travel, I like to bring something from home that kind of gives me comfort while I'm away. Do you have something like that when you're traveling?
Not really, but what I do is I treat myself to a magazine binge. If I'm going to be on a plane flight for a while, a few hours or something like that, I go to a store that sells lots of different magazines, and I'll get a bunch of different ones, you know. And so I've got lots of reading to do. I enjoy that.
All right, so it's kind of like a ritual as opposed to a comfort item, but it could be both.
Yeah, I don't have a comfort item. I guess the guitar would be my comfort item, wouldn't it? You know, it feels like part of my body, you know.
How terrifying is it to be putting that into like baggage claim or the compartment above? Do you get scared for it?
Yes, but I made a new discovery some years ago that if the airline loses my guitar, it's a message from the universe to buy a new one.
I like that.
That's amazing.
The universe is saying, go buy a new guitar. So, unfortunately, that hasn't happened in a long, long time. But I followed the rule the last time. They misplaced my guitar, and I went out and bought a Fender Jaguar, and I think No, I didn't have to play the show with it, because just before the show, my guitar showed up. So I've never had one lost, thank heaven. But they've lost track of it for a few hours.
Yeah, that is something. You got to send somebody out to get you a new guitar that you got to test. That would be.
Well, no, I would go out myself.
Yeah, of course you need to. Yeah,
just see, get something nice, but as a treat. But I have a good flight case now, so it doesn't. Okay. The flight case gets banged up a bit, but the guitar is usually safe. Touch wood.
Yeah. That's amazing, David Wilcox. It's been a pleasure. I love that you called in today. I love that you're coming back to Southern Ontario, and you have some great stories, some great history here, and it's just going to be unbelievable. Sold out show at the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre. David Wilcox returns to Southern Ontario, man, and check him out on all the social platforms because I know that you keep on touring.
Well, thank you so much, Jay and Kendra. Really enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you so much.
David Wilcox, let's roll it. We're going to play some more music here on 4680Q.
Absolutely honored to have had you here.
Thank you.
I just want to say that again. Let's play some more David Wilcox. Let's go to My Eyes Keep